He opened the back door and said, "Shoo." She blinked once and stayed exactly where she was. That was October. By Saturday, she had walked inside his house, assessed every room, and sat down in front of the radiator. He had not asked for a cat. She had not asked for permission. He didn't go looking for a cat. The cat came to him. She appeared on a Tuesday morning in October, sitting in the middle of his garden between the hosta leaves and the old wooden fence, looking at him through the kitchen window with the focused, unapologetic attention of someone who had arrived for a meeting and was waiting for the other party to get organized. Tom Kellner was 52 years old, a high school history teacher who lived alone in a house outside Burlington, Vermont that had been slightly too large for one person for 4 years now. He had a good garden, a reliable routine, and a particular talent for not examining things too closely. He was not a cat person. He had never been a cat person. He had nothing against cats specifically, he had just never been the type, and at 52, he felt this was unlikely to change. He opened the back door that first morning and said, "Shoo." The cat looked at him. He said it again. She blinked once slowly and remained exactly where she was. Tom went back inside and made his coffee. She was still there when he left for work, still there when he came home that afternoon. He put a bowl of water outside because it seemed like the reasonable thing to do. Then he went to bed and told himself firmly that was as far as it would go. By Thursday, she had moved from the middle of the garden to the back step. By Saturday, she was sitting directly in front of the door. Tom opened it, looked at her, said, "I am not a cat person," and she walked inside. He stood in his own kitchen watching a tortoiseshell cat he did not own explore his house with the calm, methodical energy of someone doing a thorough site assessment. She checked the living room, she checked the hallway, she checked the back bedroom. Then she returned to the kitchen, sat down in front of the radiator, and looked at Tom as if to say, "This will do." Tom called his neighbor Janet, who had 3 cats and was the closest thing to an expert he had access to. Janet said, "She chose you." Tom said, "I didn't agree to be chosen." Janet said, "That's not really how it works with cats." He took her to the vet the following Monday. No microchip, no record anywhere in the system. Healthy, approximately 3 years old, had clearly been outside for some time. The vet asked what he was going to call her. Tom said he hadn't decided yet. The vet said, "She looks like a Hazel." Tom said, "Fine, Hazel." If you're still watching but haven't subscribed yet, that genuinely stings a little. Hit subscribe right now. You'll want to stay for what comes next. The first 2 weeks, Hazel operated entirely on her own schedule, which Tom respected because he didn't know what else to do. She appeared in whatever room Tom was in and sat at a distance of approximately 4 feet, watching him with the steady, evaluating attention of someone who had not yet formed a final opinion but was actively working on one. Tom was not comfortable with this. He was used to being the person who observed things, not the one being observed. He was a history teacher. He spent his days reading situations, reading rooms, reading people. Having a small tortoiseshell cat read him back from 4 feet away while he graded papers was an experience he had not anticipated and was not entirely sure how to handle. He started talking to her, not performance, just out loud narration, because the house had been very quiet for 4 years, and it turned out he had things to say. He'd say things like, "The Roman Empire didn't fall in a day, Hazel," and she would look at him steadily from across the room. He found this oddly satisfying in a way he didn't examine too closely. About 3 weeks in, he came home from a particularly difficult day. A student he had been quietly worried about for months had finally come to him, and the conversation had been long and hard and necessary. He sat down on the couch without turning on any lights and stayed there in the early evening quiet. Hazel came in from the other room, jumped onto the cushion beside him, and sat there a moment. Then she stepped onto his lap, turned around once, and settled. 11 pounds of cat, completely still. Tom sat in the dark for a long time and did not move. He told Janet about it the next morning. She said she knew. Tom said, "Knew what?" Janet said that you needed it. Tom thought about this for a moment and did not argue. These are the moments that matter. Small and unasked for and entirely real. If this story is reaching you somewhere quiet, you already understand. The routines that formed after that were entirely Hazel's design. Every morning at 6:15, she sat on Tom's chest and stared at his face until he woke up. Not aggressively, with patient, absolute certainty that this was the correct time for the day to begin. Tom stopped using his alarm within the first month. Every evening, she appeared on his desk beside the laptop while he graded, occasionally placing one paw on his hand when she felt things had gone on long enough. Tom started taking more breaks. She began appearing at the back door when he got home before he had put his key in the lock, not reacting to sound, already at the door. Tom started paying close attention and found she was there every single time, regardless of whether the hour varied. He mentioned this to Janet. Janet said, "Cats no." Tom said, "No what?" Janet said, "Just no." On a Friday evening in February, Tom's sister called. Their mother had fallen. She was fine, no serious injury, but the conversation was long and worried, and by the end of it, Tom was sitting on the kitchen floor with his back against the cabinet. Hazel came in, stepped over his legs, and sat directly in front of him. She placed both front paws on his knee and looked at his face, not purring, not moving, just present. Tom looked back at her for a while, then he said, "Okay." She blinked once. He stood up and called his sister back with a clearer head. Tom's mother recovered fully. He drove out to see her the following weekend and arranged for Janet to check on Hazel. When he came back Sunday evening, Hazel was at the door. She sniffed his jacket thoroughly for about 30 seconds, turned around and walked to the kitchen. He followed. She sat in front of her bowl and looked at him. He fed her. The debrief was apparently complete. Hazel has been in Tom's house for 11 months now. She still wakes him at 6:15, she still appears on the desk during grading, she still knows when he is coming home before the key is in the lock, she still sits beside him every evening, pressed lightly against his side, watching the room with the calm attention of someone who has assessed the situation thoroughly and decided that things are, on balance, acceptable. She showed up uninvited, assessed the premises, and decided he would do. Tom would still tell you he is not a cat person, and then Hazel would walk into the room and sit on his foot, and anyone watching would understand that this particular argument had already been settled by someone other than Tom. Not every connection announces itself. Some just appear in your garden on a Tuesday in October and wait patiently until you understand they were always meant to be there. Do you think some animals find us on purpose? Tell me in the comments.